What is up, boys and girls? Londrick here, and now I'm back with another edition of Londrick's Fave Fives. So we're continuing the Royal Rumble theme. Last week was other matches at Royal Rumble, and this week Londrick is going to be the actual Rumble matches. So obviously, pretty self-explanatory. The 30-man or perhaps woman, that might make the list. It may not. Rumble matches. Obviously, this is what the Royal Rumble's been about over the years. The 30-man and now 30-woman over the top rope Royal Rumble match. Winner goes to Wrestlemania to face the champion. So, yeah, let's just get down to it, really. I just want to make this point one more time, because I've explained it more than once, and I'm still getting comments about it. Chris Benoit stuff is not going to be in these lists, because when I talk about Fave Fives, it's a subjective list. It's my own personal things. It's not an objective list where, like, if I'm doing an objective list, his lists probably go in if they're great matches. It's just like I said before, because of what happened in 2007, the whole personal connection to the thing's gone. It's just really hard to personally love Chris Benoit stuff, knowing that he killed two people, including his son, and put that massive dark cloud in the wrestling business. I'm sorry, but sorry. Respect Chris Benoit's work, but I have no respect for the guy himself because of what happened. And yeah, for that reason, because obviously the emotional attachment to these matches are gone now, so they're not on this list. So please, will people stop asking for Chris Benoit matches on this list? Because I've explained it multiple times, it's not going to be on there. So, and on that note, because of that, the 2004 Royal Rumble is not included on this list. Because of those reasons. I mean, there might have other matches where he was a small part of it, but obviously this one's different. This one was the Chris Benoit Royal Rumble. 1, it's the one he won. 2, it's the one where he started number 1. So he's in the whole thing the entire. But basically, that Royal Rumble 2004 revolved around Chris Benoit, didn't it? And obviously let him go to WrestleMania to win the world title in the main event. So that's not on this list. However, objectively, it's probably one of the better Royal Rumble matches of all time. So now, this is the last time I'm going to make that point about Chris Benoit matches on this list, alright? So please do not comment on about it anymore. So now we've got some more honourable mentions out the way before we get into the actual list. So honourable mentions, I mean, let's be honest, we've got over 30 years worth of Royal Rumbles. Some great Royal Rumbles are going to miss out. And we've got 2005, that would probably be number 6, I would guess. 1990, 2016, believe it or not, 2010, 2000, and that's about it, guys. So, with that out of the way, let's get the actual list. Coming at number 5, and surprise, surprise, we're going recent, we're going to last year, Royal Rumble 2018, the Men's Royal Rumble. So, I think it's fair to say that 2010s has been a fairly dark period in the history of the Royal Rumble. Yeah, 2010 is probably one of the years the Royal Rumble, or one decades the Royal Rumble started to lose its prestige. Obviously, we had a really underrated and nice 2010 Royal Rumble. Then the 40-man 2011 Royal Rumble wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was just kind of there. 2012 was pretty disappointing, to be honest. I mean, that just wasn't a great Rumble. 2013 was fine, but I don't think a lot of people. That was one of the more painfully predictable Royal Rumbles, wasn't it? I mean, it was one of the ones where people just didn't want to see Cena versus Rock, but they knew that's exactly what was going to happen if Cena won. 2014, my God, the old Daniel Bryan not being in, Rey Mysterio being 30 and Batista winning. 2015, do I really need to go there? Do I really have to go there? I don't really think I do. Then we had a great one in 2016. That was a really good one. Then 2017 was fine, I think, but ultimately disappointing, I think, the 2017 version of it. That was really all about the part-times. Just looking back, Randy Orton winning was so underwhelming. But then last year, WWE, for the first time ever, had 2 Royal Rumble matches on one show. A men and a women's Royal Rumble match. And the men's Rumble match was in the middle of the card. and there was a fantastic Rumble. I mean, because I think the recent expectations have been low for Royal Rumble matches because of the bad booking decisions and things like that over the last few years. But the men in this match really took this Rumble and had an awesome Rumble. That actually had one of the greatest Rumbles of all time, to be honest with you. And most importantly, a Royal Rumble that was well booked. No daftness, no silly decisions at all. The right guy won as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, overall, I mean, what I like about it is just so much action in this one as well. I mean, they kept a tremendous pace throughout. Had enough great guys in there. Had a few nice surprise returns. A couple of NXT guys were in this Rumble match. And, like, the right man won. So, obviously, it started out Finn Balor and Rusev were the first two. And Finn Balor was the Iron Man match in this one. And just a little bit, obviously now, if you haven't watched Raw yet, I haven't watched Raw yet, but I know it happened. Finn Balor's now replaced Braun Strowman, facing Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. So, is this going to be start of a Finn Balor push? I don't know, but it's kind of interesting. But because I've always felt Finn Balor's in an interesting position in WWE. I mean, he's clearly more than an average mid-carder. I mean, WWE definitely sees him as more as like an average mid-carder, but they've never really pushed him as one of their top guys. I mean, he's always kind of, ever since he came back from injuries, kind of been the guy you put in to have a multi-man match. The guy to really carry someone, get someone new over, maybe have the odd title shot here and there. But this was probably one of his best nights in WWE. And he had a great Royal Rumble here. I think he lasted about 50 odd minutes or whatever it was. I think he got like the last 6, which was cool. And yeah, I remember Lies had a really good performance in this Royal Rumble match as well. NXT call-ups they weren't call-ups, but we had Adam Cole and Andrade St. Almas in this match. That was pretty cool. We had the Hurricane returning. That was pretty nice. And pretty much better Rey Mysterio returning, coming back, and now on the back of that, having a good Shawn, he's ended up having a proper last run in WWE, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we had a nice little cast of characters in there. Obviously, the last 6 was pretty interesting with we had Cena, Orton and Mysterio versus Balor, Nakamura and Razor. They kind of did a little thing where they teamed up, so it was the older guard versus the new guard. This is probably one of my favourite Final Fours of all time as well. Final Four was Nakamura, Reigns, Cena and Balor. So obviously you had Cena and Reigns, obviously the WWE guys through and through. Then you got Nakamura and Balor, the guys that came from New Japan, which are well liked in the IWC. Now obviously this is one where everyone wanted Nakamura to win because everyone was so excited for the prospect of Nakamura versus AJ Styles. I mean, let's just talk about it at the time. Because obviously, now looking back in hindsight, the Nakamura AJ run was quite disappointing. But at the time, we were so hyped for this. But we also knew Reigns and Lesnar was going to win, probably going to headline WrestleMania. So we knew it was either going to be Reigns or Nakamura winning the Royal Rumble. And to be fair, I don't think, I won't say nobody, but most people weren't in the mood to see Roman Reigns win another Royal Rumble. I mean, I can tell you one thing, that crowd, it was a Philadelphia crowd, so the crowd would have fucking turned on that if Reigns had won the Royal Rumble. And there was one really annoying spot in there. Nakamura was down and Cena and Reigns were face off. And Cena the fucking clown. And if you look back and you listen, you could actually literally hear him shouting out, "Now, Shinsuke, now!" Ugh. Cena, please don't call spots. You annoying man. So, yeah, then it came down on Nakamura and Reigns. A really hot final stretch. I mean, I think that was an exciting battle between Nakamura and Reigns. Probably not one of the best finishes of the Royal Rumble of all time, but a pretty exciting finish nonetheless. And Nakamura eliminates Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble. And everyone was happy. And that's just nice to see, because obviously I was there on the IWC on YouTube for the 2014 and 2015 editions. Some of the worst fan response I've ever seen, so it was nice to see a Royal Rumble. It was booked right, it was exciting, and had a win that the people were satisfied with. So, overall, 2018, an awesome Rumble. Coming in number 4, we're going back 10 years previously to 2008. in Madison Square Garden for the 2008 Royal Rumble. This was an awesome Royal Rumble match, a really exciting Royal Rumble match with probably the most shocking outcome in Royal Rumble history. I mean, and I'll explain it because if you weren't around at the time, you just won't get it. But yeah, I think the start of 2018 was kind of an interesting period. I mean, I think the company had a bad couple of years. 2006, 2007 were just not good years in WWE. I mean, stars were leaving, people were getting injured. Yeah, a lot of people just lost interest in the product because it had been a while since the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era ended and all that. But I think after WWE still had a fairly successful period. I think it was still fairly popular, like 03, 04, 05. And then, yeah, 06, 07 happened, and just a lot of bad things happened. But then 2008 came around, and I feel like things picked up. I feel like, obviously, guys had come back from injuries. They had a nice little roster. I mean, they still had veterans like Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, etc. Then they had guys that had come up with the Attitude Era, but were now big stars, such as Edge, Jeff Hardy, WCW alumni that had become bigger stars in WWE, such as Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho. Then homegrown WWE talent over the last few years, such as Batista, John Cena, Randy Orton, Umaga. They had a nice young guys that were going to be stars in the future, like CM Punk, The Miz, John Morrison, guys like that. I think that was reflected well in this Royal Rumble match. Obviously, again, this is in Madison Square Garden, so that's always a big bonus for me, having Big Show in Madison Square Garden. We need to really go back to MSG for a pay-per-view pretty soon, don't we? We haven't seen a WWE pay-per-view in MSG since 2011, and that's just all kinds of wrong for me, to be honest. But yeah, this obviously the undercard of this show was good, but this was actually a fantastic Royal Rumble. So let's go. Obviously, one cool thing, WWE brought in Michael Buffer for this show. Now, WCW would bring in Buffer pretty much every month for pay-per-view main events, and he'd even do a lot of nitros, like big matches on Nitro. But I believe, I could be wrong, and if I am, feel free to correct me in the comment section below. This was Buffer's first ever WWE announcer appearance, and I'm pretty sure the only one, because I can't remember him ever coming back. And I guess if I was at MSG, we got this, it'll be kind of cool. So obviously, what a way to start the Rumble as well. We got number 1, The Undertaker, number 2, Shawn Michaels, and how about that? The last two men of the 2007 Royal Rumble, and I forgot to add that as an honourable mention. 2007, not going to be on this list, but it was almost made the list. So the last two men of the 2007 Royal Rumble just happened to be the first two guys in the 2008 Royal Rumble. Gee, this wrestling thing, you'd think it was all planned out or something, wouldn't you? But no, in all seriousness, I mean, obviously, amazing start of the Royal Rumble. And I think it showed the depth of the Royal Rumble that you could have The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels as the first two, and still have plenty of stars to call upon later on. So obviously an exciting sequence. Then they did two great things. Next was Santino, and then he was eliminated quickly. Then the Great Khali was 4. I might have the order mixed up there, but it was Santino and Great Khali, the next two guys. Then he was eliminated. Then you got like a few random people in this match. I mean, Tommy Dreamer was in this Royal Rumble match. Jamie Noble was in this Royal Rumble match. Chuck Palumbo. I kind of like Chuck Palumbo as a biker character in 07, 08. Then obviously I think Batista was like number 8. And I'm pretty sure he was the Iron Man match this Royal Rumble because he was number 8. And he was the third and last one in. So yeah, he had to be. So I think this was the time that Batista really improved as a worker throughout 2017. Yeah, he's probably in the middle of the best run of his entire career, because obviously coming off that big feud of The Undertaker throughout 2007, really good ride with Edge. Batista was really over guy back then and did a great job in this Royal. They had guys like Umaga in this that did a great job. Hornswoggle, so this is back when Hornswoggle was Vince McMahon's son. He was in this Rumble match where he did the whole thing where he came in and hid under the ring for like got a half an hour or something. He didn't do it half as entertaining as Jerry Lawler did in 1996. Just saying. So obviously, younger guys like CM Punk and all that, The Miz, Morrison, Shelton Benjamin was in this Rumble match. And then in a really, really cool moment, you had a Roddy Piper come out there, be surprised entrance in this Rumble. That was cool. I mean, in Madison Square Garden, where Piper was such a legend there, had so many legendary moments in that building, in WWF's golden era. Then, right after Piper came Superfly Jimmy Snuka, again, another legend of Madison Square Garden back in the day, and obviously Piper still had the issue, but now at this time they were two old guys, and they didn't really do anything exciting really. I think the fans were just happy to see them. They did the little brawling bits for a while, and then Kane came out and eliminated them, which was good. They didn't outstay the welcome. Then we got more guys like Mark Henry, Big Daddy V. Then they did one thing I thought was a bit stupid, but so obviously they had Hornswoggle would sometimes sneak out and then pull. I think he pulled the Miz out at one point. Then he tried to pull Mark Henry out. I mean, really, I think Mark Henry's arms probably bigger than Hornswoggle. Take a drink there. And he pulls Hornswoggle in the ring. Then Finlay comes out, hits Carey. No, it was not Carey. Mark Henry and Big Daddy V with a shillelagh. Then Finlay gets disqualified from the Raw Rumble. So I was like, huh? Really? Are you serious? I mean, when has that ever been a rule in the Raw Rumble, like, ever? And they've always said there was no rules in the Raw Rumble match, and now all of a sudden you're disqualifying people? Good God. So Finlay, the first and the only man ever to be disqualified in the Raw Rumble. I guess WWE World, they just like make up the rules as they go along type thing. And then obviously Mick Foley was in this Raw Rumble. This was one of Mick Foley's last matches of the WWE. Again, big pop for Mick Foley in Madison Square Garden. And all those awesome. And then Triple H, because at this point you look like, right, Triple H is going to win this Raw Rumble. I think it was like 28 or something like that, maybe 27. So Triple H comes out, yeah, Triple H is going to win this Raw Rumble, because obviously Undertaker and Michaels had been out early. Yeah. So the only other guy that could realistically win it was Batista, but you're thinking, at this point you pretty much knew it was going to be Undertaker and Edge for the world title at WrestleMania. So unless Batista's jumping to Raw, he's probably not winning this, so Triple H is going to win. And they got down to, I mean, I love the little bit of exchange between Triple H and Mick Foley in this match. But brought back memories to the 2000 Raw Rumble. 29, I believe, was Elijah Burke, if I'm not mistaken. And then number 30, you know, you heard, dun, 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 in for what has to be the most shocking Raw Rumble moment in history. John Cena was number 30, and the reason that was so shocking was because in October 2007, John Cena, while he was a WWE champion, tore his pectoral muscle, and then obviously he had to vacate a title, take time off the whole 9 yards. Now, I'm no medical expert, but a torn pec is a fucking torn pec. It's a pretty serious injury. You can't really do much on a torn pec physically. Like, work out and lift weight and wrestle. I mean, for the most part, it was estimated that Cena would be out anywhere from 7 to 9 months, maybe even a whole year. So his injury time would have put him up to, at the earliest, just after WrestleMania. So no one was even going to this Rumble match thinking about John Cena. And when that music hit, that Madison Square Garden crowd was so stunned. I was absolutely gobsmacked watching this live, because if you want to do the maths, October to January, that's 3 months, and I don't know how he did it, but this guy John Cena somehow recovered from a torn pec and got his bodybuilder physique back in 3 months. I mean, that's insane. I mean, back in his prime, John Cena was just an absolute beast and insane for things like that. I mean, wasn't the first time he recovered from injuries ridiculously quickly. Example, 2008, broke his neck, was back in 3 months. Back 2013, there was an elbow injury, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was an elbow injury. The one he took time off right after SummerSlam 2013, and he was back by Hell in a Cell. Hell, even fairly recently, I would say, 6 months for a rotator cuff injury in 2016 was not as impressive as the others, but that was still pushing it. So, holy fucking, probably one of the most funniest moments of all time. The MSG crowd were cheering, popping for Cena, and then then the realization hit them. They were like, "Oh shit, hang on, we're cheering Cena here, boo!" So yeah, obviously the crowd got caught at the moment, and then they realised, holy shit, we're actually cheering John Cena. Let's stop that. Let's boo him now. And you got to give Triple H credit. He sort of like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, get the fuck out, you prick. And I've got to say, yeah, obviously I did not see this coming. And anyone who was watching at the time tells you they saw this coming. I'm going to call you an outright liar. God, I fucked that up. An outright lie. That's just no. You didn't know that. It was awesome moment, really. And then gets downwards, Cena, Triple H and Batista. Cena, Triple H at the end, John Cena wins the Royal Rumble. Wow. Really shocking Royal Rumble match. Definitely great match. Probably one of the better ones from the last, I don't know, like 10, 12 years. Great stuff. Coming in number 3, we're going back to the 1990s, and specifically 1997 for the 1997 Royal Rumble from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. This is an awesome Royal Rumble match, such an exciting one as well, and really an interesting time in the company, because really for the first time since Vince went national, Vince was clearly number 2. WCW had overtaken him in 1996, Hulk Hogan, the NWO, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, all that great stuff. Nitro handily beaten Raw, and Vince was clearly number 2. And for me, 1997 was really the start of the fight back. I mean, Vince knew he was in trouble, and he knew he had to change his product. I mean, change his product to be more adult-themed, orientated product, which eventually morphed from the Attitude Era, and you all know about that. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people know the rest of the history on that one. But 1997 really was the start of it. I mean, gone with the silly characters, replaced more realistic characters, more colourful language was coming into the product, more violence was coming into the product. So here about early 1997, they only really made a few early moves, but the roster was there. A little bit of momentum was gathering, but it wouldn't really take shape until another year. But looking back, this is a great Royal Rumble because you've got quite a lot of components with the Attitude Era in this Royal Rumble match, and are really starting to make names for themselves. One guy in particular, which I'll talk about. So, this of course was, this is probably an underneath match. Obviously, the headline attraction for this show was Shawn Michaels challenging Psycho Sid for the WWF title. Shawn Michaels' hometown, San Antonio, Texas. This is an exciting Rumble. I mean, you had a pretty decent cast of characters. I mean, you had some not so great characters. And as a matter of fact, which I'll get into, because the roster wasn't that big at the time, you had a lot of AAA guys entering this Royal Rumble, because it was obviously in South Texas and all that. So yeah, overall, fantastic Royal Rumble, which was really revolved around one man. But then it was a massive component in one of the most compelling feuds in 1997. So start out with Ahmed Johnson and Crush. That was what it was. I mean, Ahmed was feuding for the Nation at the time. As a matter of fact, it faced Farouk earlier in the night on an undercard match. And then, oh god, then number 3 was Razor Ramon. And I know what you're thinking, Londrick. Didn't you just talk about Kevin Nash and Scott Hall being in WCW? And yes, I did. And you must be thinking, so how's Razor Ramon in the Royal Rumble match? Well, Razor Ramon was the Royal Rumble match. It wasn't Scott Hall, but it was Razor Ramon. So allow me to briefly explain. So in late 1996, WWF thought, well, we've got the trademark, the characters. We'll just make new Diesel and Razor Ramon. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, I don't want to get into too much detail. It's probably one of the worst storylines of all time. It's just ironic. Scott Hall, Razor Ramon's in the WWF for 5 years, and he was never in an actual Royal Rumble match. But the year after he leaves, the Razor Ramon character enters a Royal Rumble match. Because you check this out, in 1993, Razor challenges Bret Hart for the World Wrestling Federation title. Then in 1994, 1995, 1996, Razor was the Intercontinental Champion, defending the title against IRS, Jeff Jarrett and Goldust. And then number 5 is Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin's music hits. And then Austin really just becomes the star of the match. I mean, he pretty much clears the ring right away. And then does the old what we always call the old diesel spot, where one guy's in the ring waiting for another guy to come out, eliminate that guy. Then another guy will come out. So he did that. Then he went through Crush, Phineas Godwin, then Bart Gunn, and then Jake the Snake Roberts, which is kind of cool actually. I think this is one of Jake's last matches in the WWF, because I think he was gone not long after this, and didn't return to television till that old school Raw, when he put the snake on Dean Ambrose. Was that 2014? I believe it was. Pretty sure it was 2014. Obviously, because Austin and Jake were the final of the King of the Ring the previous year, which launched Austin 316. Then you got British Bulldog, and that brought the trend of Austin eliminating everyone. So that was pretty cool spot with Austin and the Bulldog, because it had a little bit of a mini feud in late 1996 on television. Now, what I said before about the roster being quite thin, they brought in some AAA guys for this show. I mean, there was a AAA 6-man tag match earlier in the night, which that was just not a good match, because they had P-Roth in there, Steve Benetico, Latin Lover, and probably most memorably Mil Mascaras. I mean, if you know your luchador history, you'll know Mil Mascaras, probably one of the biggest stars in Lucha Libre history. He was probably about mid-50s at the time, maybe even a bit older than that, because he'd been around since the 60s. And he was in 1997, so I suppose it was a nice pop for the Latin community watching this match. Me as a white 10-year-old from the northeast of England in 1997 was thinking, who's this old bastard? Yeah, because I didn't have a clue about Mil Mascaras in 1997 when I was 10 years old. I didn't have a clue who this guy was. But it's just kind of interesting that he was in a Royal Rumble match, and a great story about that. I mean, obviously, you probably realise it from some of the things I say sometimes, and that I listen to the Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard podcast, and about a couple of years ago, one of the topics was Rumble 1997, and on the subject of this, Bruce tells a story about when Mil Mascaras was talking about the Royal Rumble match. He was saying, no yob. No yob. And I mean, obviously, you work it out. No yob means no job. Meaning, Mil Mascaras wasn't going to put anyone over in the Royal Rumble. He wasn't going to allow anyone to eliminate him, because Mil Mascaras was notorious for being an egomaniac and wouldn't put anyone over. So, one of the most hilarious spots in Royal Rumble history, Mil Mascaras throws out, I believe it was P-Rov, climbs the top rope, and jumps out of the ring, eliminating himself, looking like a complete mong in the process. And one of the things I like most about this match today, it was building towards the Owen and Davey boy tension. Owen and Davey were the tag team champions, but they're having problems on television. One of the most hilarious spots, it looked like Davey had hold of Austin, and then Owen, wink wink, accidentally eliminated Davey Boy Smith. Now Owen was protesting it was an accident. He was trying to eliminate Austin, and he just mistakenly eliminated the British Bulldog, and Owen was smiling, going, "You idiot! You fucking idiot!" Well, he didn't say fucking because it was on telly. "You idiot! He put me out! He put me out!" So Davey was irate, and Owen was like, No, it was an accident! Trying to eliminate Austin. Great stuff there. And then it went to a spot where Austin cleared the ring a second time. Got down to Owen, Austin and Mero. Austin eliminates Wildman Mark Barrow and Owen Hart. And then once again, Austin's in the ring by himself. And he does the little diesel spot again. This time he got through Savio Vega, which that was kind of interesting, because obviously Austin and Vega, remember, he had a strap match in your house a year previously. And Double J Jesse James, that was not a very good gimmick. And then one of my favourite moments in the history of the Royal Rumble match. Maybe it's a bit stupid, but I just love it. Austin's on the ring apron. Well, not on the ring apron, he's on the second rope, sorry. With his head down, waiting for the next guy. And then Bret Hart's music hits. And Austin's reaction, Austin's face, when Bret Hart's music plays his price, he's like, oh, fuck, not him, not Bret Hart. Because Gordon Bret Hart was the major favourite to win this Rumble match. I mean, I think most people thought Bret was going to win, go on to Wrestlemania and face Shawn for the title. Now, obviously, for other reasons, that didn't happen, which we don't need to get into here. But obviously Austin and Bret were them. They hadn't stopped feuding. They were feuding through Survivor Series, had that awesome match, and of course, memorably, would go on to have one of the greatest matches of all time at WrestleMania 13, which we will talk about sometime in the future, no doubt about that. So Bret and Austin get into it, awesome stuff. And then Jerry the King Lawler's out next. Now Jerry King Lawler's on commentary throughout this match. Within this Rumble match, and I just love this spot. So Austin has Bret in the sharpshooter. Lawler hits the ring. Bret Hart hits Lawler, uppercuts him over the rope, and Jerry Lawler's eliminated them back on the announce table, just like that. Great spot. And then obviously, here at the end of the match, various guys came out, and the ring pretty much filled up towards the end. I mean, there's some interesting characters in there after this. I mean, there was Big Daddy Cool Diesel, like I say, the fake Diesel, who you might know better as Kane. I mean, 1 year later, it'd be Kane, and he'd be burning his brother alive in a casket at Rumble 1998. Terry Funk was brought in for this Rumble, which that was really cool. Terry Funk, obviously a legend even then, in 1997. And it's just kind of ironic, really, that, how this was January 1997, April 1997. Funk was a main event in the first ECW pay-per-view, and become the ECW champion. And some punk kid named Rocky Maivia. They don't know what happened to that daft kid. Mankind, who else in there? Flash Funk, Henry Godwin, Vader. I mean, obviously Vader, great stuff. Then number 30 was the Undertaker. I mean, they did the whole thing where the lights came out and then came back up. That was just cool. So you think at this point, Undertaker's number 30. Who's going to stop the Undertaker now? Undertaker, probably the most intimidating guy in the match. He's got the best draw, right? He's got to win this thing. Then we do a cool spot where Mankind and Terry Funk eliminate each other. And then Mankind and Terry Funk are uncontrollably brawling. And while this is going on, the referee's back's turning the action because he's trying to stop Funk and Mankind fighting, right? So at that point, Bret Hart throws Stone Cold over the top rope. Austin goes over the top rope, hits the floor, he's eliminated, right? Well, the ref didn't see it, it doesn't count. I mean, as the old cliche goes, you can't call what you don't see, right? So Austin slips back in the ring, eliminates Vader and the Undertaker, and then Bret Hart eliminates Diesel. So Bret Hart has won the 1997 Royal Rumble, right? Wrong. Austin goes behind Bret, throws him over the top rope, and then, Stone Cold Steve Austin has won the Royal Rumble 1997. I mean, I love the finish of that match. It was just so great, and just tied into so many great things later on. Austin, the sneaky bastard, he'll do whatever it takes to win. Bret Hart getting screwed again, because this obviously all led to Bret Hart turning on America in 1997, right after WrestleMania 13. It was one of those things where everything Bret said was actually true. He was actually getting screwed in the situations he said he was. So, by devious tactics, Steve Austin wins the 1997 Royal Rumble. And this is probably one of his big launching pads, because he was number 5. He had such a fantastic performance in this Royal Rumble match. Then he goes on to win the match. Now, ironically, he didn't actually face the champion that year's WrestleMania. But when we talk about Bret and Austin at WrestleMania 13, we'll probably get into more details of that. And I just love the end of Bret being so... Bret was pissed. I mean, Bret sold outraged like he really meant it. He was there grabbing referees, kicking trash in the ring, going after Vince. And then, kind of awesome line, the Vince on the commentary was like, "What is this shit?" Ironically, 10 months later, Bret would have a very similar question for Vince. But yeah, awesome Royal Rumble, which enhanced storylines, made some guys, and it was just genuinely exciting. Now, coming in at number 2, we won 2001 Royal Rumble. Pretty much in the latter stages of the Attitude Era. WWF was obviously an interesting time. The war was won a long time ago, and obviously 2000 just enhanced that. WWF had arguably the best ever year, while WCW had the worst year ever. Then obviously, I think this was around the time ECW finally folded, and then obviously 2 months later, WCW folded and the Attitude Era kind of ended. But this Royal Rumble match is amazing. I mean, obviously, awesome star power in this match, great mid-carders, awesome storytelling in this one, really awesome stuff. So now we're into 2001. 2000 have been great. But then this, for me, started the streak of the best 3 pay-per-views in a row in history. So And let's be honest, Royal Rumble 2001 is probably going to be on the list next week. But you had this show, No Way Out 2001 and WrestleMania 17. So this Rumble match revolved around a few things. Obviously, the two faves, obviously Steve Austin, The Rock. I mean, because obviously at this point, we knew Austin Rock was headlining WrestleMania 17. I mean, that was the money match. I mean, that's the match we were building since Austin came back. And obviously this was Austin coming back from spinal surgery in 2000. Obviously his career was in jeopardy, but he came back. And this was his big chance to win the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania in his home state in Texas to face a champion. But then you had an interesting dynamic of them. Because in the build-up they were building the Undertaker and Kane being together in cahoots. And if Undertaker and Kane are in cahoots, who the hell's going to stop those two big bastards? One of them's probably going to win. And then the wild card, Rikishi had been number 30. Now this year, this was after Rikishi ran over Austin because he did it for The Rock. And no, I'm not going to do a bad impression. So Rikishi had been working as the main event heel for a little bit. That just didn't work, I mean, to be honest. I mean, it just wasn't good. That's unfortunate, really. Well, for now, they were at least sticking with it, but Rikishi did turn back face later on in 2001. But you think, Rikishi number 30, being £400, is going to be hard for him to lose a Royal Rumble. So there's a little bit of intrigue there. So, started out with Jeff Hardy and Bull Buchanan. They were 1 and 2. Number 3 was Matt Hardy, which is interesting because then the Hardys eliminated Bull Buchanan. And then Matt and Jeff started getting into the Royal Rumble. And that's probably one of the most underrated things about a Royal Rumble match for me. Seeing tag team partners fight, because it is every man for himself. And obviously the precedent was set very early on when Axe and Smash and Demolition were the first two in 89. And also I remember the Natural Disasters fighting in 1993. So the Hardy Boys were fighting, and they were doing something the Steiner Brothers refused to do in 1994. Because we had a similar situation where the Steiner Brothers were 1 and 3, and then they were in the ring together and they didn't fight. Then they eliminated Farouk. And then number 5 is Drew Carey. Who was Drew Carey, you ask? He was a night show talk host in America around that time. He had a lot of television shows. He was doing a big pay-per-view coming up soon. So to promote that, he was going to be on the Royal Rumble. Not only was he going to be on the Royal Rumble show, they were going to put Drew Carey in the Royal Rumble match. Now, I'm not going to lie, it was kind of interesting at the time. But just kind of interesting to have a celebrity in the Royal Rumble match. So Drew Carey comes out, the Hardy Boys are fighting, but they end up eliminating each other. So Drew Carey's in the ring all alone. And then, bam, Kane's music hits. The big red machine comes out. Drew Carey's crapping his pants. And Kane's really taking his time, because, which I'll get into in a second, this Royal Rumble match is really probably Kane's shining moment in the WWE, in my opinion. So Kane grabs Drew Carey by the throat. Looks like he's going to chokeslam him. Then number 8, Raven comes out, hits Kane with a kendo stick, breaks it up. And then Drew Carey just climbs over the ropes and eliminates himself. Smart man. Now apparently, all this entitled Carey going to WWE Hall of Fame in 2011. So there you go, fans. If anyone's watching this video and they have tickets to the Royal Rumble this year, here's some advice for you. Jump the guardrail, get in the Royal Rumble, stand there for a bit, let someone grab hold of you, and then climb out the ring. You do that, you might be in the WWE Hall of Fame someday. So yeah, obviously this Royal Rumble match is about Kane. Kane was probably the surprise Iron Man match of this match. I mean, Kane lasted about 55, 56 minutes. I mean, that's kind of crazy looking back, because obviously you think of Iron Man Royal Rumble performances. You think Ric Flair, Chris Benoit, Rey Mysterio, Bob Backlund. The common theme is they're smaller guys. You don't really think of 6 foot 8, 6 foot 9, 300-pound men having an Iron Man performance. So that was just really, really impressive, and he really made Kane look super, super strong in this match. Obviously, this is a match where he famously set the elimination record. I think it was 11, and that record stood for 13 years until Roman Reigns broke that in 2014. And depending if you consider the greatest Royal Rumble an official Royal Rumble canon or not, that's up to you. Braun Strowman broke that record when he eliminated 13 guys in that 50-man Royal Rumble match. But like I say, the Strowman one has an asterisk. It's whether or not you consider that greatest Royal Rumble an official Royal Rumble canon or not type thing. And then this is the match we got great here, because You had a Raven, Al Snow, Steve Blackman, Perry Saturn, and they had a little mini hardcore match in the middle of the Royal Rumble match, because this was in the middle of the hardcore division, and that was cool. It just freshened things up and just made this Royal Rumble feel a little bit different. Then of course Kane ended up dominating all those guys, eventually pretty much cleared the ring, and then the Honky Tonk Man was there next. Like, what? That's probably one of the last guys I expected in this Royal Rumble, because nowadays, like the last 10 years or so, we expect surprise legends coming into the Royal Rumble every year. It kind of morphed into a thing later on, but this time it wasn't really a thing. I mean, you get current superstars returning sometimes. It's a surprise thing like that, but guys from the past didn't really enter the Royal Rumble this time. Honky Tonk Man, he was in the 98 Royal Rumble, but he was actively working for the company at the time, so that wasn't really a surprise. And here he comes back all these years later. But he didn't do anything, really. What he did is, Honky Tonk Man was coming, he's going to sing his song, play his guitar. So he asked Kane to stand in the corner, and then let the Honky Tonk Man sing his song. So the Cool Cocky Bad song played, Honky Tonk Man sang it. Kane didn't like the song though, apparently, because Kane grabbed the guitar, smashed it over the head of the Honky Tonk Man, and eliminated the Honky Tonk Man. Then The Rock came out, so here we go. Now we got two big stars in the Royal Rumble match, Rock and Kane. And then The Rock and Kane dominated the Royal Rumble match for a little bit, because then the Good Father was next, and he was quickly eliminated. And then Taz came out, and he was eliminated in about 7-8 seconds by Kane. Then after that, the Royal Rumble match picked up again with guys coming in. So you had the likes of Bradshaw, Albert, Hardcore Holly, Regal, Test, guys like that coming in. And then it was a pretty exciting period. Then surprisingly, K-Quick was in this Royal Rumble match, which was, if you don't know, K-Quick is R-Truth's first gimmick in the WWF back in 2000, 2001. Then he left, went to TNA as Ron the Truth Killers. Came back to WWE in 2008, I think it was. Pretty sure it was either 07 or 08, I can't remember. It was R-Truth, but he's been there ever since, and he's going to be the number 30 man in this year's Royal Rumble. But he was in there. And then another big surprise entry, the Big Show returned to the WWF. Obviously, the Big Show was a major part of the 2000 Royal Rumble. That 2000 Royal Rumble really revolved around the Big Show and The Rock, and the Big Show as runner-up. Big Show was part of the WrestleMania main event that year. And then in 2000, he got really out of shape, he got a knee injury, came back, but he was really fat and out of shape. And then WWE decided they sent him to OVW for 6 months to train and get into shape, and because Big Show had never really learnt the business. I mean, he was fast-tracked by WCW, fast-tracked to the top. When he got the WWF, he was just so lacking in experience to show up. And the first few years of Big Show in WWF was a big struggle. And I suppose this was his low moment, getting sent to OVW. But then he comes back, just chokeslams the hell out of people, and was going to chokeslam The Rock, but The Rock counters and eliminates the Big Show. But Big Show ain't taking this lying down. Big Show pulls The Rock out of the ring underneath the bottom rope, then chokeslams The Rock through the table. So The Rock's out selling for a while and then getting down to it. And then everyone decides they're going to turn on Kane. I mean, there's enough guys in the ring now that we can try and get Kane out. Not so fast. Number 25 is The Undertaker. Now, obviously, this was a big build last week. Undertaker, Kane, and Cahoots. And the question was answered as yes, they were. Taker and Kane were actively working with each other. Undertaker and Kane. Then the Undertaker saved Kane. And then between them, they eliminated all the remaining guys in the ring. So now it's Undertaker and Kane in the ring at the same time. Were they going to fight like the Hardy Boys did earlier? No. I think the Undertaker and Kane's plan was to dominate the Royal Rumble now. They were going to go through every single guy. And when it comes down to it, best man win, I suppose. And after that, 26, Scotty 2 Hottie. And I've got to give Scotty so much credit. He sold fear like crazy here. I mean, he sold fear like he meant it. I mean, you look at the look on his face, he's thinking, holy I am well and truly fucked. I'm stood in the ring, and there's the Undertaker and Kane waiting for it. And of course, Taker and Kane make short work of Scotty 2 Hottie. Nice easy. Double choke slam eliminated. Then 27, Stone Cold Steve Austin now. Now, right, here's some real competition for the Undertaker and Kane. Stone Cold isn't going to for like Scotty 2 Hotty did, right? So Stone Cold's on his way to the ring, but then he's attacked by Triple H, which is a receipt for earlier in the night where Austin cost Triple H the WWF title in a match with Kurt Angle, which of course was a receipt for Triple H costing Austin the title early January on Raw, and it was really a tit for tat situation. Triple H tries to arrange to have Stone Cold Steve Austin run over by a car. Stone Cold Steve Austin attempts to murder Triple H on live television. Triple H costs Austin the WWF Championship. Austin costs Triple H the WWF Championship. Triple H is now going to attempt to cost Austin the Royal Rumble match, so Austin's getting beat up. So Triple H is really laying a beating on Stone Cold, busts him up and all that. Looks like Stone Cold's not going to be into the Royal Rumble, let alone win it. Then The Rock comes back in the ring, then you got Billy Gunn, which, whatever. Then 29 was Haku, which was, that was probably one of the most shocking Royal Rumble appearances ever. Because Haku, if you didn't know, was in Meng as WCW was Meng, and as a matter of fact, was the WCW Hardcore Champion at the time. And I believe it was like the week prior that he'd actually won the Hardcore Championship on the Sin pay-per-view. And here he was in the WWF, just out of nowhere, really. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Haku, Meng, whatever you want to call him, was the very final jump ship of the Monday Night Wars, the very last guy to switch companies before the WCW buyout. So that was really cool stuff. And then we got Rikishi number 30, then Austin was back in the Royal Rumble. Then we got down to the final stretch. Quite surprisingly, Rikishi eliminated The Undertaker fairly quickly. You had Meng was eliminated, The Rock eliminated Rikishi. Then you got the final four of Austin, Rock, Kane, and Billy Gunn. I mean, which one of these, well, that's the game, which one of these is not like the other? I mean, not shitting on Billy Gunn, but that was really weird. I think it would have made more sense to have Rikishi be in the final four than Billy Gunn, but that's just me, I suppose. But obviously, Billy Gunn's not going to win the Royal Rumble. Then we down Austin, Rock, and Kane. Now we got the two favourites in Austin and Rock, but The Rock's been there while Austin's being beat up, and Kane has been dominating this Royal Rumble, but obviously at this stage, I think stamina's going to play an issue. They do it also. I think Kane goes through the ropes, so he's out of the ring for a while. Then Austin and The Rock are the opposite sides of the ring, and they lock eyes. So kind of a similar to the Hogan Warrior thing in 1990. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock lock eyes, and then they start battling out, giving us a little teaser of what was to come at WrestleMania. Because he did something similar in the 6-man Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon. So he got those two shows to give fans a little bit of a teaser of what was to come at WrestleMania, and then it looked like Kane was going to eliminate both of them. However, Austin managed to hold on the ropes where The Rock didn't. So The Rock's eliminated. Now it's Austin and Kane. And I think that was a great move, because I think it would have felt so predictable if Austin and The Rock were the last two guys in the ring. So I think the thrill was interesting born by having Kane make it to the end. Like I say, this was probably Kane's best ever performance in the WWF in his entire career. I mean, he was in this match for 55 minutes or so. Not sure what the exact number was, but around that area. Pretty much dominated, eliminated 11 guys, and made it right to the end with Austin. So how was Austin going to do what nobody's been able to do in this Royal Rumble, and that's crack Kane? So Austin got a steel chair, hit Kane about 3 times, and eventually eliminates Kane to win the 2001 Royal Rumble. And like I said, just an exciting Royal Rumble match. I mean, so many twists and turns, a lot of surprise entries, some storylines at hand, and people made just really great Rumble match. And coming in, this is no surprise really. I mean, I've talked about this a lot, so I think most people knew exactly what number one was going to be, and that's the 1992 Royal Rumble match. For me, still the greatest Rumble match of all time. I mean, the gold standard for Royal Rumbles. I mean, the one that changed the direction of the Royal Rumble match. Obviously, because I think the one that everyone goes back to, really, when they talk about great Royal Rumbles. I mean, so obviously the Royal Rumble started officially in 1988. But for the first few years of the Royal Rumble, it was just a match. I mean, which was fine, but all you really won was bragging rights. No prizes, nothing. It was just another match, really. Nothing at stake at all. But that all changed in 1992 with a couple of title changes, which led to a vacancy, which led to the WWF title being on the line. So, this really goes back to Survivor Series with Undertaker and Hulk Hogan for the World Wrestling Federation title. Now in that match, Ric Flair interfered in the match, cost Hogan the title, and the Undertaker wins the WWF Championship a year after his debut. And that led to less than a few days later, this Tuesday in Texas, and I think it was December the 3rd, 1991, if I'm not mistaken, Undertaker Hogan rematch on pay-per-view for the title. This time Jack Tunney was going to be at the ringside to try and prevent some shenanigans, but although he was unable to do that, Flair interfered again. But this led to Hulk Hogan, because Paul Bearer and the Undertaker were going to throw ashes in Hulk Hogan's eyes. Hogan intervened, threw ashes from the air in the Undertaker's eyes, rolled him up to win the WWF Championship right in front of Jack Tunney. So Jack Tunney, because of all the chaos, decided he was going to strip Hulk Hogan of the title and then put it up in the 1992 Royal Rumble match. So 30 men Royal Rumble all had a chance to become the WWF Championship, become the WWF Champion. So instantly this match has much more credibility because of that. It was the only match to have the WWE title in the line for 24 years, when WWE didn't do it again until 2016. Then of course after that, on the back of that, WWF realised the Royal Rumble needed something permanently, so 1993 then the rule became the winner of the Royal Rumble match automatically goes for the WWF Championship at Wrestlemania, and here we are all these years later. But yeah, so obviously the ingredients were in place to have a truly exciting Royal Rumble match. You had really high stakes, and then you look at the lineup and oh my god, just this, probably the most star-studded Royal Rumble match in history. Well, no, probably is for me. I mean, you look at the guys you have. You got Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Rowdy Roddy Piper, The Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, Sid Justice, Sergeant Slaughter, Ted DiBiase, the British Bulldog. Then guys like future legends like Shawn Michaels, guys that had been big stars in the past but maybe weren't as big as they were anymore, like Tito Santana, Greg Valentine, Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado, bunch of guys really. So pretty much the cream of the crop of talent from the 1980s in this 1992 Royal Rumble match. I mean, what an exciting match. And obviously, again, the big stip, whoever wins was going to be the World Wrestling Federation champion. So all sorts of shit was going on at the time. Looked like you think Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Sid, probably the favourites, but obviously then there's Ric Flair, the self-proclaimed real world champions. There's obviously back with Ric Flair coming to the WWF September 1991 with the actual NWA World title, calling himself the real world champion. I mean, we'll probably get more into detail about that another time, but it was just really great stuff. So yeah, we get the match, and the match was amazing, an absolute classic. I mean, I don't think I've mentioned this in any of the previous Rumble matches, but Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, their work and commentary was outstanding, particularly Heenan. I mean, for me, this was probably the greatest commentary performance of all time, in my opinion. I mean, Heenan was just outstanding in this match. I mean, because the angle was that Bobby Heenan had a financial interest in Ric Flair, so Ric Flair was going to win the Royal Rumble. Bobby Heenan was going to become a rich man, so Heenan was just so hilariously biased throughout this match. So start off with Ted DiBiase and the British Bulldog, two great wrestlers to start the Royal Rumble match with, and in the first period, Davey Boy eliminates DiBiase, and then number 3 is Ric Flair, and he was like, no, damn it, no. And I just love throughout the match where Monsoon keeps reminding Heenan that knowing the history of the Royal Rumbles, drawn numbers 1 through 5, and 1, and Heenan's like, shut up, just shut up. Yeah, you big ape. And then this is the start. For me, it's the greatest performance in the history of the Royal Rumble, Ric Flair. I mean, some guys have lasted longer than him, such as Benoit, Mysterio, and I believe even Bob Backlund did. But for me, the quality of Flair's performance in this match was unrivaled to me. He was just there the whole time. He didn't really rest that much the entire match. He took everyone's best shot. I mean, he's taken everyone's chops, slams, suplexes, everything really. I mean, so many interactions with so many different guys, and then they got down to I think it was Haku was next, and then he was eliminated quite quickly. And Nasty Boy Sags was next, and he was eliminated quite quickly. Then Shawn Michaels comes out, so that's really cool. See Shawn Michaels battling Ric Flair at that stage of the craze. I mean, this was Shawn was just freshly turned heel from Marty Jannetty jumping through the barbershop window to get away from Shawn Michaels. The start of the Heartbreak Kid. And then the Rumble started filling up with some really good guys like Tito Santana, the Texas Tornado, Pete like the Barbarian, and some Nikolai Volkov was in this Royal Rumble match, which is kind of or whatever. Repo Man. I mean, some really cool characters in there. So the match starts filling up a little bit, and then some point guys started to get eliminated quite quickly. There was one point because Flair eliminated Davey. Then it came down to Ric Flair and the Big Boss Man. Then Flair eliminated the Big Boss Man. And at that point, Flair was in the ring by himself, and Heenan was Flair. She's like, yes, Flair wins it, Flair wins it. And Grill's like, there's a bunch more guys left to come. Yeah, but just give him the title anyway, that's good enough for me. Then who was next? Roddy Piper, that's who. So a bit similar to Austin and Brett in 1997, where the heel Austin was in the ring, and then his main rival at the time came out next. So Flair and Piper had been feuding pretty much on and off since Flair came into the company, and obviously Flair was like, oh god, not Piper. So the whole Piper and Flair bit when it was just them two in the ring, definitely one of the hottest parts of the matches in the card. Piper had the chance to make history in this match because earlier in the night, Piper had won the Intercontinental title from the Mountie. So if Piper wins this match, he becomes the Intercontinental and the WWF champion in the same night. So next was Jake Roberts. Then obviously Jake Roberts was getting in the fight. Then Jake was attacking Flair. Piper hits Jake to get him off Flair, and Roddy. He was like, "Oh, Piper, thank you, Roddy. It's not a kilt. It's not a skirt. It's a kilt. It's a kilt." Piper goes back to work on Flair. He was like, "You no good creep. You skirt wearing freak." Then obviously you get guys like Duggan and IRS coming out next. Then obviously we're into the 20s now, so a lot of the big boys are coming out. You got the Undertaker coming out, people like Jimmy Snuka. And then memorably Randy Savage comes out. So obviously at the time, Savage and Roberts were feuding. Legendary feud at the end of 1991. Awesome stuff. So Savage goes after Jake, eliminates Jake. And then the dumbass move, Savage jumps over the top rope to keep on attacking Jake. So it looks like Savage has eliminated himself, right? Well, apparently not. I mean, I could only assume this was a botch on Savage's part. That Savage wasn't meant to jump over the top rope. Obviously, he got caught up with the moment and did it because inexplicably to the fans, Savage got back in the ring and the referees let him. So, and then you could hear there was a bit of silence going for a little bit. Then you could hear Monsoon or Heenan, I can't remember which one it was, scrambling in explanations. Oh, I don't know what it is. I think you have to be thrown over the top rope by another wrestler. I think that's one of the rules of the Royal Rumble. So I can only assume at that point whoever was doing gorilla position was telling them in the headsets to say that. Because we'd seen guys eliminate themselves before and they weren't allowed back in, but they were here. I mean, it's another example of sometimes they just make the rules up when they go along, don't they? And this is one of those times where Savage is inexplicably back in the Royal Rumble despite eliminating himself. So then obviously all the guys come out. Hogan, that's a big one. Hogan eliminates the Undertaker. Then you got Sergeant Slaughter, Sid, number 30, the Warlord. And we're at this point now. We're coming towards the end and Ric Flair is still there. I mean, Rick Martel had an Iron Man in 1991, about 53 minutes. But at this point, it looks like Rick was going to surpass that. I mean, at this point, could Ric Flair do the impossible? Draw number 3 and win the Royal Rumble? And Heenan was beside himself. I just love when he actually starts begging the Royal matches, going, "Please God, please let Flair win. I'll be a good person. I won't do us anything bad ever again. I'll be a different person, I promise." And Monzo's like, "Stop begging!" I just love the back and forth banter between Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon. And I would suggest it wouldn't be half as funny if Monsoon didn't sell it. I mean, if Monsoon just laughed it off, it wouldn't be that funny. But the fact that Gorilla took the bait every time from Heenan was just great. So yeah, now we're getting down to an exciting stretch. Down to the Final Four now. What a Final Four this was. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man and Sid Justice. So Sid eliminates Macho Man. And then it's down to 3. So holy fuck, Ric Flair's really against the odds now. Not only is he being this match about an hour, he's in there with the two biggest guys, Sid Justice and Hulk Hogan. So looks like Hogan was about to eliminate Flair, but from behind, Sid eliminates Hulk Hogan to a huge pop. I mean, this was the time Hulkamania's popularity was declining. Fans were getting a little bit sick of Hulkamania, and I think fans just found Sid to be a lot more cool than Hulk Hogan was. So fans were actually really behind Sid doing this. But then when they replayed this on television later on, they completely dubbed the sound, so it looked like fans were booing Sid and cheering Hogan, which is hilarious. Then Hulk Hogan, no way to go about it. Hulk Hogan was a dick. So, in the context of a Royal Rumble match, Sid eliminates Hulk Hogan. It's every man for himself, right? Sid's done absolutely nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing. He just did what he was supposed to. So Hulk Hogan, acting like a crybaby, grabs Sid by the arm, tries to pull him out, and that lets Ric Flair sneak up behind, eliminate Sid to win the Royal Rumble match. And then Bob Hayes is like, yes, 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 I told you Monsoon, yes. So Ric Flair does the impossible, draws number 3, takes everything from everybody, outlasts all the guys, and ends up winning the Royal Rumble. And wow, for me, obviously the most iconic Royal Rumble match of all time, but the greatest performance of Royal Rumble all time. And yeah, just for me, the gold standard of Royal Rumble matches over the years. I mean, a lot of matches have come close, but I don't think anyone's ever recaptured the magic of the 1992 Royal Rumble. I don't think so, anyway. But yeah, a truly legendary match. And obviously, I imagine everyone's probably seen this match at least once. But if you haven't, where the hell have you been? Go out there and watch this match. So that's a wrap, guys, for another Londrick's Fave 5 Royal Rumble matches. Next week, of course, it's going to be Royal Rumble shows. Then after that, I'm not too sure. So we'll see about that one. As far as next week, I'm probably not going to do an audio Royal Rumble predictions video, because I've just not really been watching the television shows that much to have a talk about the matches that much. So I'll probably do a predictions in a slide video form. I might even do NXT TakeOver Finish predictions, but I'm not going to promise that yet. But again, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace.